Male Karen rants to my boss for closing the playground early. I work in a Burger King as it pays slightly better than what I was getting working for my aunt, and I've encountered several Karens before, but this incident was the most recent. Last week I was doing a deep cleaning of the playground due to a birthday party that had just finished up earlier, and it was my last task to do before clocking out. My boss had asked me to close the playground since I'd be deep cleaning, and she didn't want customers to be in contact with any chemicals that I'd be using. While cleaning, I noticed that the AC was out and the playground was extremely hot to the point where I had difficulty breathing. To add to the issue, I'm also extremely allergic to some of the cleaning products that we use, so I'm basically in an oven with no airflow and using cleaning chemicals that I can't even touch without my skin cracking. I'm struggling to breathe and cleaning, and while doing that I noticed this man and his daughter, who looks like she'd be at least 4 years old, watching me clean in the main lobby. I didn't think much of it, mainly because I was more worried about getting out of the playground room as quickly as I can. I clean the inside of the playground's tubes and slides in any place I'd fit, clean the tables and the windows, and broom and mop. Throughout this, I have the door to the playground locked. The man and his daughter are sitting outside of the playground, clearly waiting for the door to the playground to open. I get out, taking the cleaning tools with me, without locking the playground from the lobby side. I didn't have the keys on me, and you'd only be able to lock the playground without a key from inside its room. So I drop off the cleaning products in the back, and I tell my boss about the AC being out and to give me the key to lock the playground from the outside. She hands it to me, and I quickly head back to the playground to lock it, worrying that customers might try to get in despite the signs I put up clearly saying the playground was closed. Sure enough, the daughter was going inside the playground, with the man holding the door open. I quickly get to him and ask him to take his daughter out, as the playground was closed due to issues with the AC and cleaning chemicals all over the playground. He gets angry, and while grabbing his daughter, he starts yelling at me. "I waited for so long for you to clean up that mess. Why are you closing the playground if the store is still open?" Me, "Sir, the reason is due to my boss telling me to close it. The playground was just cleaned, and the chemicals can't be aired out because the AC is down." Entitled man, "When does it open?" Me, "I'm not entirely sure. My boss is calling the repair guy right now, so hopefully it'll be open in the morning." When I told him that, I'm guessing he didn't understand what I said, or he was just too angry to fully listen, but he then said, "Why is the playground only open in the mornings? What kids are going to be here in the playground if they'd be in school?" The day after was Saturday, so I was confused on what he'd meant on that comment, but I shrugged him off. I was already too tired and I was in the middle of an allergy attack to say anything to the man, but that made him even more angry, and he said, "This is so fing insane. I waited for 15 minutes to get my order, and the cashiers were giving me attitude, and now you want to close the playground in the middle of the afternoon. I want your boss to fire you." He then rushes out, pulling his crying daughter behind him and leaves. I thought that was the end of it and I'd finally be able to go home to recover from my allergy attack. But not long after the male Karen left, my boss is on the phone with him. I was grabbing my things from the closet where all the employees put their bags, and I can clearly hear him screaming about how can the playground be closed in the afternoon. My boss is trying to calm him down by saying, "Boss, yes sir, I understand your frustration. However, for the safety of your daughter and other customers, I asked my employee to close it." Entitled man, "She gave me attitude. I waited so long for her to finish cleaning, and now my daughter is crying because she couldn't get in." Boss, "And I do apologize for closing the playground, but there were signs in front saying that the playground was closed for cleaning and the AC is out. Your daughter could have suffered from heat exhaustion." Entitled man, "But why did the employee tell me that the playground is only open in the mornings? What kids are going to be there in the morning?" Boss, "I did not tell my employee that the playground was only open in the mornings. I'll talk with her, though there is a chance that maybe there was a misunderstanding. Our repairman is coming in soon to take a look at our AC, so we hopefully should be open by tomorrow. I sincerely apologize for your inconvenience." The entitled man calmed down after that, and after a few more apologies, their call ended. My boss asked me why did I tell the man about the playground being open in the mornings. But when I explained what had happened and what I said, she later understood that it was a misunderstanding. After that, I was free to go home. I haven't seen that male Karen, but I did see his daughter yesterday with an old lady after school let out for the summer, so I'm gonna assume that's her grandma. She looked pretty happy, though I feel bad about what happened with her dad. And now to the next story, story 2. My entitled brother threw a massive fit just because he was mad I bought a house. Yeah, I'm aware of several similar stories involving entitled family members wanting houses they have no claim to. But I guess this shit really happens. And it's no picnic when it does. I suddenly became a homeowner some time ago because a friend of mine's grandfather was moving to Florida, and his house was ripe for picking. I knew the old man well. R.I.P. He passed a few months later from a sudden stroke. Anyway, he offered the house and property to me for $200K. I practically ran to the bank to apply for the loan. The house is a manufactured home from the 80s, but it was remodeled repeatedly by the former owner and has a separate garage building. The home and property could have gone for more, but he offered the house to me because he knew I'd take care of it. I had $30K saved that made a good down payment, and I was happy to leave my apartment. I'd wanted to eventually move out of there after what my cheating ex did anyway, but that's a story for another time. As for my brother, well, he went bonkers when he found out I bought a house. He had this repeated history of copycatting me for the past decade. But there was no way in hell he could copycat buying a house with his terrible credit and inconsistent income. And he got in an argument with me over how I was just trying to make him look bad by doing something he couldn't. No, I just wanted a damn house, and the price was too good to refuse. Then he told me I should have turned it down because he had no good reason. I could practically see his screws getting looser with every dumbass excuse he made as to why I shouldn't have done it. But I pointed out all those excuses were just because I did something he currently can't. And when I bought the house, it had nothing to do with him. I just wanted to be a homeowner for the security and extra space. I finally don't have to store my camper at my parents' house, and I have a garage that I can store stuff and tinker in. I bought a camping cot. He bought a camping cot, went to the gym. He went to the gym, bought good booze. He bought good booze, or stole it from me. I bought a new TV. B bought a new TV. I bought a truck. He bought a truck. I bought a camper. He bought a camper. I bought a used portable DVD player. He bought a used portable DVD player. I went camping in a specific place. He went camping in that specific place. I bought a house. He, 404 error. Insert tea kettle noises and Benny Hill chase. He also acted like a complete child toward me when he built his mini-ram thing. He actually confronted me and said it was cooler than my boring Tundra because it was something original. I swear, he did the dumbest mods to that vehicle, like putting twist studs in the suspension coils to raise the ride height. Well, after weeks of openly fuming about me being a homeowner, my brother suddenly acted like he had another brilliant idea. He wanted to move in with me. I laughed at him. Then he ended up demanding I rent one of my rooms to him, and for only $200 a month, utilities included, because he shouldn't have to pay any more than that since we're family. He flipped his lid when I said "Foust no." Then he got our parents involved again. Only this time they actually sided with him at first, though it was mainly our mother. She and my brother showed up demanding I let my brother move in. And my brother had a shit-eating grin on his face that I could tell he was thinking he was getting his way thanks to Mommy Dearest. I said, "Ck no," to both their faces, and my mother cried that I was using foul language to her and being an ass when I had the space now. I called my dad, and he told my mom that he'd warned her I wouldn't do it, and to leave me the hell alone. Mom whined my brother was living out of his camper next to a shabby house he was renting space from. I said that wasn't my problem to fix, and my brother has proven countless times that he cannot be trusted. My brother was fuming to the point of being red with veins popping out. My mom tried one more time to convince me with tears, and that just made me angrier. I went on a rant that was something like this. Bro can't buy a house, so he wanted to invade mine. I refused to ever live with my brother again. I would sooner live in the woods without electricity than with him. He's intentionally irritating as all hell. And if I had him as a roommate, I just knew he'd steal my booze, take my stuff, and invade my privacy nonstop. Not Fu King happening. No matter how many tears Mom tries using on me. My mom broke down and finally conceded she'd never convince me after that rant. And she had to take my brother by the hand and leave with him because he initially refused to go and kept begging her to turn back and make me let him move in. And then I yelled to him that it was a laugh that he called me a mama's boy before, because he'd become exactly that. And this was just like the time he tried to get our mother to make me trade vehicles with him because he felt ashamed to be driving a minivan. He yanked away from Mom, then told me to go ck myself and the horse I rode in on. I laughed and pointed out I didn't ride in on anything because I was already home, but his rattlekin horse was waiting for him in the driveway. He flipped his lid again and looked like his head was going to explode, but Mom got in front of him and told him to just go. Then he drove off in his rattlekin Silverado without her. He'd driven her there, and then I had to take her home. While taking her home, I made things very clear with my mother over why I could never trust my brother again, and his life was not my burden to bear, and then told her how little my brother was offering for rent anyway, which he'd conveniently not told her. Then I later rented that same room to one of my best friends for $600 a month, and he pays for utilities. The other 2 rooms are my bedroom and a home office. There's an extra room in the separate garage too. So my mother tried to make me let my brother live in the garage instead. There's enough room in its storage room for a bedroom. Again, I said ck no. And that's since been turned into another friend's rented room with a bit of a plywood remodel. Yeah, I kinda rented both the spare bedroom and garage room out to friends out of spite. But I wasn't letting my brother live with me in any capacity. My brother later ended up having a complete meltdown in front of our parents over how he's the older brother. He should be the one who owns a house first. He's supposed to be successful, and I'm supposed to be the big loser in his shadow. Our dad poked him with his cane and told him that's not how life works, and they had a big argument. They told him to get out and not come back until he's cooled off and learned that he's just being a pointlessly jealous asshole. The next Part 1 post. My brother did the dumbest thing of all. I came home late to over 600 comments and still more pouring in. Far too many for me to answer. So I'll clear some things up here. Yes, I am no contact with my brother. And he's NC with the rest of the family as well. I do have cameras inside and outside my home. And a dash cam too. My brother knows this and has stayed the ck away since he left town. I'm told I'm an asshole too. Not arguing that, because it's true. I'm not exactly the nicest guy, but have someone like my brother in your life, and see how peachy you turn out. Some have mentioned to having siblings just like my brother. Sadly, I know very well people like him are increasingly common these days. My dad said a number of times that my brother probably would have ended up dead in an alley if he lived here 50 years ago with the way he behaves. As for our ages, I'm 30, and my brother is 32. I have not given my parents a spare key to my house. One is with a friend, and another is very cleverly hidden. My house is a manufactured home, but it's not in a trailer park, and has been significantly modified with new siding and a new roof, and has a separate garage building. The previous owner was a former general contractor, and he loved to build and repair. And yes, I do have good insurance. I keep seeing comments about a clock radio. Pardon me for not getting the reference, but I do own a digital alarm clock that has a built-in CD player. Currently plays Tina Turner's Proud Mary to wake me up. My brother and I were raised pretty evenly. He was always a jerk, but went full asshole after moving out. But our mother didn't favor him. She chewed him out plenty, and she didn't normally side with his stupidity. She just wanted him to live in a better place than in a camper next to a house filled with potheads. Addition. My brother willingly moved into that camper. He was renting half a room in that house of potheads, then convinced the landlord to let him live in his camper on the property for the same price instead. And he bragged about his camper a lot, which he has a full gaming center in, complete with PlayStation. He only wanted to invade my house to piss me off and make his cost of living even lower. He also doesn't like camping nearly as much as me. He mainly liked just pissing me off by following me. He loved to make me miserable. In fact, he felt entitled to make me miserable. That's the kind of person he is. One more story, story 3. 2 in 1. Believe me or not that this happened to me in one day. I 30 female work customer service, hair store if anyone cares, and I love my job despite the crazy and rude customers I may get once or twice a week. From putting money on the counter to paid, but wants their change handed back to wanting the most expensive thing in the store only to complain about the price of it. I thought I've dealt with it all, but why his was baffling to me and takes the cake. We just opened, and we only got a few customers come in. 3 people exactly. A woman brought 4 bags of braiding hair to me at the counter. I smiled and was about to speak and ring her up, but she cuts me off and says she's not ready yet and goes down another aisle. She brings back more stuff and continues to tell me each time she's not done yet or she's still looking. I offer her a basket to carry her items, but she said no and leaves again. She makes about 4 trips back to the counter at this point, and I decided since she didn't want a basket, I moved her items behind the counter with me to be out the way. When I do this, another customer is actually ready to check out. I happily start ringing up the items, but then guess who walks back up? She immediately asked where her things were. I told her I moved them to the side so that they wouldn't be in the way of other customers, and I didn't want to accidentally ring her stuff with someone else. Well, she wasn't happy to hear this. She said she was almost done and shouldn't have checked out anyone before her. That was apparently the point of her leaving all her items on the counter. I reminded her she told me multiple times she wasn't ready, and I offered her a basket so she could shop freely, but she snapped at me saying she didn't want the basket and I shouldn't have checked anyone out when she was there first. I sighed deeply because it was 9:30-ish in the morning now, and I really didn't want to deal with this so early. We literally just opened. I told the woman just because she sat something up here doesn't make it a save my spot in line pass. If you say you're not ready and someone is done shopping, I will get the next person in line. I asked her if she was ready now, holding up my scanner. She said yes, but wanted my manager, store owner, to do it. I said he out back doing inventory and I couldn't leave the counter. She was pissed and claimed she was in a hurry to get to work. I ranged up her stuff mid-slow, which pissed her off more IDC. After I gave her the bag, she said she's going to talk to my manager later. I smiled and said okay. I told him about it, and he rolled his eyes and told me not to worry about it. I wasn't, but I laughed. Fast forward to noon, I went on my lunch break, picked up my order, returned to the parking lot of my job, and sat in my car eating while watching videos on my phone. The next thing I hear is a knock on my window. There is a woman, different woman, standing at my door. I rolled my window slightly and asked, "Yeah, can I help you?" She says she needs help. I'm thinking like she lost something, or her car won't start and need a jump. I say, "Sure, ma'am, what's wrong?" She says, "I need your help in the store." Immediately, I shook my head and said, "Nah." I told the girl I was on my lunch break, but my manager was in the store to help her with anything she needed. She then says, "But I want your help, so come help me, please." I tell her no, but I'll be back after my break. She looked so offended, I guess, and says while folding her arms, "Are you really not going to come help me?" I looked at my phone, then back at her and say, "Ma'am, I have 20 more minutes left on my break. When I get back, I'll help you if you just only want my help, but I'm not leaving my car." She stomps into the store, and I went back to my videos. Not long after, I see the girl standing outside with my manager pointing at me. According to him, she was trying to get him to make me come in to help her with whatever she needed. He told her I would be back in later, but he would help her. She refused his help and left the store. I swear I got a headache from all this. I told my husband about the day I had, and he said maybe the second girl liked me, and that's why she only wanted my help. I told him even if that was true, she still would have to wait till my break was over. We laughed about it, but it really was the craziest encounter with entitled people in one day for me.